Please, guess what?
What?
Guess what?
What?
I have a feeling we're going to go for like 23 minutes today.
23, huh?
I think so. I have some cool things I want to share with you. So here we are in our intuitive health reset day, whatever day is it actually, 4 or
It's
3?
day 4 and it's fasting day 3.
Okay, why don't you start? Because then I'm going to tell you some cool things.
I feel terrible. I am fussy.
Fussy, like a baby fussy.
Baby fussy. I have been clumsy today. I feel sluggish. I'm like, my mouth feels kind of like that.
Ew.
And it feels so hard.
So hard, you just want to eat? Is it physical hard or mental hard?
You know, it's my tummy. I'm very aware of my tummy. My body feels sluggish. My mouth feels kind of pasty dry. I'm a little bitchy, and I'm somewhat kind of brain fogged. You know, like I've done projects and so I know, because of ketosis, I know enough to know that I'm going to push through or come through to the other side of brain clarity. But right now, everything today felt like I was carrying a lot of extra mental, emotional, physical weight.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of.
But you plowed through the day. You got through the day.
I got through the day. I mean,
how did you get
here? So
I'm sorry, what?
It's 4:30 here. So I'm like, it feels like I've got a ways to go. Thankfully, that's for me. I'm an early to bed girl. So I'll probably be nighty night by 8:30. And I just continued to do what I do. I walked, I stretched, I meditated, I worked, I took breaks, I've drank a lot of water, and I fussed and marched in place a little bit.
Are you tired?
Yeah, I'm mentally tired, but I don't actually feel like I could nap or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I just kind of feel like those days, like a veg out in front of a TV, some sort of mindless activity. So I have all this change. Like I'm one of those people that keeps change in a Folgers can,
like,
whatever.
Is it like coins, you mean?
Okay. And I literally started rolling coins. I was like,
you were rolling coins like the old fashioned way? Why? Because you needed some
because I
mindless
wouldn't give myself permission to watch TV or something like that.
Good. Yeah, totally. I think you should.
But I wanted something mindless that felt like it was also productive, not productive in the way of work or whatever.
Yeah, I get it. But you had something to show for it at the end of the exercise, right? You're so funny. Yeah. I got to share something really cool. I want to share. Okay. This, because we were talking about, now I posted the Indian doctor's stuff on our video yesterday, so people can go watch him. There are a lot of really, really good resources around fasting, like Dr. Jason Fung. Have you read his stuff or seen his stuff? He's
I think we read some of his stuff last time, but I haven't read anything.
Probably.
His name is real familiar.
Yeah, so you guys should go check him out, and I'll attach some of his stuff too. But somewhere this thing popped up of this guy. Oh shoot, I pulled it up so I wouldn't forget. Upton Sinclair. Have you heard of him?
Yes. Why do I know his name? I totally know his name.
Okay, well wait, I got to put on my glasses so I can.
He must be an author. He sounds.
Well,
but I'm not placing him.
he wrote this book called The Fasting Cure he lived from 1878 to 1968. And I believe it was in 1910 that it was published. It's called The Fasting Cure. So I was looking for that book. And by the way, I want to share this resource. Do you know the archive.org?
No.
Archive.org, and I'll share this too, is an online digital library where you can find the coolest old books, new books, everything. And they are uploaded as flip books. So you can just access the entire book. So what I wanted to share is, so I was looking for that book because I thought for sure I could find it free online. And I wanted to see, because he was received very well. He was a well-known journalist and he wrote a bunch of different books. As a matter of fact, you got to research him because he was responsible for some pretty big things in terms of like the meat industry many years ago. So he was received really well with this book called The Fasting Cure. Okay. Then I stumbled on this woman who wrote a book called Fasting for the Cure of Dis-ease. And her name is, I'll put all this in our comments. Okay. But is Linda Burfield. Now, both of their books you can find on this free library thing. But I look her up and I start reading her book and I'm like, oh my God, it's so good. And it's really interesting to read the way it was written then and what the quotes she chose to use and stuff. And basically she's saying the truth, which is that most dis-ease, and she even terms it starvation of the body, comes from eating too much and eating the wrong things, because your body can't absorb, what happens to your cells. It's like putrefying, gross toxins everywhere, right? So anyway, I'm reading through her book and then I'm like, and then I was searching for a full book because I only found a partial book at that point. And all these videos start coming up and she was known as like, oh my God, let me read this to you really quick. I don't want to take too much time on this.
I am so excited, especially I want to share something that, keep going. Yes.
Let me just share this really quick. If I still have it pulled up. Okay, if you go, I can't find it now because I'm doing all this other weird stuff. Sorry. But I'll post it in the comments. Okay.
Okay.
But basically, if you look on like Wikipedia or wherever about that woman, she's described as a murderer, like convicted murderess and general quack, crazy woman. But she and her sister, you got to go watch, like there's a lot of super sensationalism videos. Well, a lot. I watched like one. But there was a whole playlist of them, and it's all about how she had this sanitarium, whatever you call it, a health place in Washington near Seattle. And I think the house is still there. And so they get into all this scandal, how she was like married to this drunken, crazy guy and all this crap. But when you read her, and they say that she killed a lot of people by forcing them to starve, to fast for 40 days. But when you're reading the material, it's Jason's book. It's like, it's basically true science, which is now proven and now well received. And she's talking about all of these ailments that she was able to heal. And the thing is, like, a lot of the people would come to her as a last resort when the doctor was saying, okay, this kid is going to live for like 2 weeks. And then And then she looks at what they're doing and they're pumping him full of brandy and strychnine and all this kind of weird stuff, kind of like our medical Western medicine, like if you go into the hospital,
Let's give you
eat this,
pharmaceuticals
eat
or
this.
cut you open.
Yeah, and you got to eat what's on the tray. Keep up your strength, or we're going to feed you intravenously, all this kind of stuff. So
hospital
I
food
found
just
it
makes me
so
cringe.
fun and fascinating. I think you guys should go check out those books. That's
Well,
my
Dr.
contribution.
Adorable, I didn't watch him on fasting today, but it really resonated when you said starvation of the body comes from eating too much and eating the wrong things.
Yeah.
And he is looking at different diets from healthy people all over the world, right? Like just different colonies, tribes, etc. And there's this huge variety. Like some people eat a ton of carbohydrates, some people eat a ton of meat, some are vegetable, paleo, whatever. He said, and that can be confusing, but look at what they're not eating. And he talked about sugar and our processed carbs as changing our entire hormone structure and really killing us. And my hubby just said to me yesterday, you're starving your body. So I really perked up when you said true starvation is when you're eating too much and eating the wrong foods. And that's what our, our modern American diet, our standard American diet is made up of. So that's fascinating.
I just thought it was such a great way that she put it. And I don't remember who I was listening to yesterday about fasting. But it was actually about eating. It's like all the kids going into puberty, like when they're 8 and 9, because of all the hormones and crap that is in our so-called food. So that is a super good point, is what are they not eating? And truly those, like indigenous culture, it makes sense that different foods are right for different bodies. Like some people are like, it's all the starchy vegetable diet. Okay. Or you need to eat just rice and beans, or you just need, but
it's beans, rice, and Jesus Christ. That's your real affordable diet. Feast.
What the hell is that? What? Oh my God.
When I was young, really young, 17.
That's terrible.
I know, but
God,
I was
like
dating
the supper diet.
I was dating a guy that smoked crack cocaine. And
okay, you always come up with the craziest shit. Okay.
But he got put into a rehab, and that was their motto. They fed them on beans, rice, and Jesus Christ. And then I later, fast forward, had family that was missionaries to Peru, and they talked about what a complete meal actually beans and rice is. And so it just stuck with me.
A complete protein, that's all you need. You don't, okay, I get it. That, I don't know, that just kind of put me over the edge. So it's really interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's so much. I was talking with Bethany today, this colleague I'm working with and friend, and we were talking about how it's so much about like what you don't need to do, like just being present. And I think fasting for me, I had a difficult day until I let myself take a nap.
I even told my husband I was gonna nap.
What?
I told my husband, I said, hey, I'm gonna go check out. I'm gonna take a nap. I think it'll rejuvenate me. But he was working on a project that I can't share because there's a surprise for someone who could watch this. And it got me engaged. And so I didn't take my nap.
Yeah, I mean, there are different times for different days. I think though, what I was up against today with the fasting thing was severe. So I would call this a severe craving, emotional craving not for food. But when you strip the food away, you start realizing the other things that you want. And it wasn't like heroin or anything like that, or sex or anything, but it was like, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with
heroin, sex.
Well, it's kind of the same. It's the same. It literally, they have proven that withdrawal from food and sex is exactly the same as heroin. Where were we reading that? It was, oh my gosh. Oh, it was that guy who owns the True North. I think he was talking about the same centers in the brain. Maybe it wasn't him, I don't know, but that it's the same chemical process at different levels, right? But it's the same, whatever I'm not a scientist, obviously, but the same transmitters or whatever. It's the same pathway. And that's why, like, when you have a breakup, it's so painful because it's a withdrawal that mimics heroin withdrawal.
And your body feels it physically.
Oh, totally. It's in your brain.
Yeah.
And then your mind is all messed up about it because you want to go back to that person and you can't, and that's why people are like, you got to go cold turkey and don't stalk them on social and all that stuff. You know, I mean, it's a real thing.
Yeah. Well, there was one physical thing
Just
that
be
happened.
careful about not letting them get addicted to you. Sorry, I had to say that. That's even worse. Go ahead.
Thankfully, right now, the only man that I'm aware of stalking me, and we wouldn't say he was stalking me, is my hubby. And that's just because he's right here and knows what I'm up to. But this morning, when I had a bowel movement, I'm just saying, we're talking about what's happening.
I know.
I could see a difference, and it really felt like the insides of what I made up in my mind is like, oh, the insides are really being scraped out. And I could sense, just based on what I was seeing, that I was eliminating toxins. I mean, I guess we could make an argument that that's what that is, but regardless, it was a different quality. I won't go into all that.
It can also be parasites.
Yeah. So so that felt really nourishing. Like, hey, I'm taking care of my body. I've got physical evidence right here that I'm cleansing in new ways.
Yeah. And I going back to that statement in her book is so powerful, that starvation is actually, because if you think about what starvation is, really preventing the body from receiving nourishment.
Yeah.
So if we're overfeeding and we're feeding the things that are not nourishing, not true food, then that is starvation. And that's why disease, it's like, but I think the most difficult thing really is the emotional, mental thing for me, for sure. It's not physical at all.
Yeah. For the most part, I think I've been emotionally sluggish. So just even staying in a positive, present state of mind. So I've been doing a lot of things just for moments, micro moments at a time, of being aware of, the sensations of my feet or my breathing, or I was outside and really just paying attention to how the heat felt on me and seeking to eliminate any thoughts in my brain and just be present to the sensations in my body. And it's been a hard day. And tomorrow's a new day.
Okay, so this is day 3 for you. Mm-hmm. I guess it's like day 2.5 for me.
Yeah, I mean, you really were only behind by one meal. You had breakfast because you had a hangover. Look, I can bring it all back for you.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I literally had a hangover.
And so you had the one meal and then went from there. Yeah.
What a weird word.
I know.
So, okay. So yeah. So for me, it's breakfast to breakfast. And so this is day 3. I don't know.
You're in the midst of your day 3, if we do it that way, I guess you would say. And if I did dinner to dinner, then I'm in the midst of my day 4. But we're really, the way my brain's just doing it, we're one meal difference.
The funniest thing is when the emotion, like when I was having that intense, I felt like a drug addict today.
Really?
I was like, well, I'm not, I don't know. I guess. I mean, I had this thing that I was like, oh my God, I can't stop thinking about this thing. And it was driving me crazy. And I couldn't focus. And I was just like, I am just going to give in. I'm just going to give in to this. And then, I was like, well, maybe I'll take a nap first. And then I just woke up totally like we were talking about, I think I was talking to Bethany earlier today about nervous system. So your nervous system is kind of out of whack probably today.
Yeah.
And
I did do the hot cold today for that reason. And it's to nourish and regulate my nervous system that I did all the mindful, activities today. But yes, I'm out of sorts. Is there, because we're almost at 23 minutes, is there anything that you want to share about what you learned today? Like anything that you're like, I forgot to say this.
I mean, I always have some more to say, I mean, honestly, I just think stopping is better. And it's really counterintuitive. Most of what we're doing it's actually not counterintuitive, but because of our conditioning, it feels counterintuitive to us, most of us. And so I just think stay with what's like those really powerful impulses will pass if we can regulate our nervous system with showers or sleep or breathing or connecting with a human or going on a walk, whatever it is. So I just can't wait. My goal right now is to get into ketosis where it's confirmed with a urine stick. Because that is when I feel like I'm making progress, That's when I
think I have some here and I'll try that in the morning. Cause I think I generally take about 3 days to get into ketosis. So
that's awesome. I don't know why it takes me so long. And what I'd like to learn more about is the hormonal reset for like women in terms of like estrogen. And I mean, not just insulin, but I know insulin, it regulates all these other things. And I am convinced that from past stints of fasting that it regulates all of our hormones. And
that excites me.
I really think like the whole menopause thing might be a good conversation. I don't know. I've never had like those terrible symptoms that people talk about, but maybe, I don't know. I wonder sometimes if just like, I don't know. I've never had like hot flashes and stuff like that, but this kind of general, like low grade, I'm feeling just like, ugh. That could be a number of things. He said this in his book too. Go read that book, you guys. I thought it was so interesting that it's not just me, that he said, I kept attributing these sensations to moral dilemmas or mental more, how I always do that. I always think, oh, it's some mental thing. It's like something I should be controlling emotionally, when in fact, your body can reset itself and it's the food you're eating.
Wow. So that makes me think of when you just talked about, oh, I thought it was mental or this or that, and how much our food plays a role. And this is going to sound off topic. It's just where my brain connected. I listened to one of the most nourishing teachings on Sabbath rest, but the premise of it was that we begin from the rest of I am enough, I've done enough, I have enough, and we conclude a day with the rest of I am enough, I have enough, I've done enough. And that when we're pausing in a day, it's so that we can receive and take in all the wisdom and learning of all this content rush, and that we are enough, have enough, and have done enough. And then when we are taking a longer period of reflection, allowing that to really sink into the bones. And that has been something I've rehearsed today as I have felt so unproductive. Just be in the space of I'm enough, I've done enough, I have enough.
That's a great way for us to sign off. I love it. Yeah, yeah.
All right. See you mañana.
Okay.
Bye.
Tomorrow will be you'll feel different.
Right.
And we'll report on that. Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night.